What are we doing in baptism? The first thing is that we are making a public declaration that we have chosen to follow Christ, to be identified with Him and with His church. Identity. That's a big buzzword these days, and it's a huge part of the spiritual application of baptism. But let me just start off by asking this question. Outside of church, what are you known for? Outside of church, outside of this circle here, what are you known for? The thing that we would relate to is occupation. Who are you? And we draw up an occupation. Okay, who is Daniel? Walmart guy. Who is Dave? He's a retired engineer. Who is Marla, pastor's wife? Who is DJ, occupational therapist? So a lot of times we tend to identify ourselves or others by occupation. I remember a few years back when in our youth group it was a whole different set of teenagers, and they used to call James the church guy. Of course, we know there's a lot more to James than just church guy, but that's what they called him. That's how they identified him. So, considering all that, if we get away from that, the occupation, what you do, when we're just kind of thinking about what kind of person you are, then when you get outside of church, what do people see as the most identifiable thing about you? How do they see you? Who are you apart from your occupation? Sometimes that can be a painful question, because we're talking about people that are not Christians, people that are not part of this church, not part of this circle, a whole different situation. And I think that it's fairly natural a lot of times for people to act a little bit differently around those folks than they do act here, in church. You learn your manners and things like that. But that's a really important question. And I'm going to tell you that if they don't primarily first identify you as a Christian, then something is probably wrong in your relationship with God. So that's what we want. We want our primary identification, even above that of our occupation, to be Christian, follower of Jesus, lover of God, worshiper of God. Those are the things that are the most important. And of all the things that I can think of in life, those are the things that I want people on the outside to think of me. A lot of times it doesn't happen, especially whenever I get irritated and go off. But you know what I mean. Sometimes when I'm driving, people don't naturally think, man, that guy must be a Christian. but that's what I want. And even more so than being a pastor, I want people to think of me as a Christian. And a lot of times people say, well, of course if you're a pastor, you're a Christian, but that's not always necessarily the case. All right, so identity. When you are baptized, you are making a public declaration about your new identity. I have chosen to follow Jesus Christ. I have chosen to be part of His church. I have chosen to receive Him as my Savior, and I want my life to honor Him, and that is who I am.